the center had directed manufacturers to pre-install the Sanchar Sathi app on all new devices and add it to existing phones via a software update within 3 months. And then within 24 hours, I think the union government withdrew its order. What is wrong with it? Why can't you take a Swadeshi app? You're happy to install apps from America, Facebook. You're happy to give them data. Why can't you, install a homegrown app?
So effectively mandatory installation on our phones and and by that wording, no removal of the app possible. So it's like government sitting in your phone all the time. And you look at the permission that has access to your messages, access to your calls,
your galleries,
all your documents. So everything's open. So like someone rightly said on Twitter, it's like you're inviting a government person into your home because these are our personal devices. They're saying ki instead of option to download, we want everyone to have it. So we are forcing it because, a private company will do advertising and marketing to get you to install their app. A government says, I'm the government, I own this country. I will push my way wherever I want to because that's the way. Our government is largely feudal, right? It's been feudal since independence in its approach. It pushes things through. That's the way the bureaucracy thinks.
Most people fall for them because we believe we have such little trust in our agencies. So if I get a call from, FedEx saying that the CBI has caught narcotics, has found a contraband in your name, I will actually believe it because I actually think the system is out to screw me.
But this administration has shown you consistently that they never consult. They never consult. They come up with a rudimentary whim and they think that's a revelation, which everybody thinks. But the idea is very easy to think of कि ऐसा कर लेंगे. How would you do?
Not necessarily true. नाम का consultation बहुत बार हुआ है.
This exciting Putin meeting happening, so we cannot not talk about it.
I tried to watch some of the interview, but maybe that was not the greatest idea.
So, I watched the India Today interview and it was, I think, it was, parts of it were really bizarre. Like, which intelligence service do you think is the best in the world? KGB, Mossad, or what do you think of CIA?
Look, as Nikhil said, the India-Russia relationship, India-Soviet relationship is as old as India, pretty much, right? The great friendship of today under Prime Minister Modi and all is all very well, but I think Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru was one of the first people who was actually friendly with the Soviet Union in his time as well. So, everything that Nehru did may not necessarily be a bad thing.
Welcome to Chhota Hafta. Now, Chhota Hafta is but a small, chhota version of a complete weekly podcast, News Laundry Hafta. The News Laundry Hafta is where you get the week's news, what made the headlines, what didn't make the headlines, but the full version is available to subscribers only. And I don't mean YouTube subscribers, although YouTube subscribers are also very welcome, very, very grateful to you, but also to News Laundry subscribers, the paying subscribers who pay to keep news free. So you can also become a paying subscriber by clicking the subscription link. Now, what do you get if you're a paying subscriber? You get access to all our paywall content, all interviews, podcasts, and importantly, you get access to a full unedited Hafta, where you not only get to hear the week's news, but you get to hear the News Laundry editors' positions on matters. You get to see their biases, what are their prejudices. It's an exercise in transparency while also informing you, and we have a few quips and jokes and agreements and disagreements thrown in. So listen to the full Hafta, subscribe to News Laundry, and pay to keep news free. Here we go.
अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. In fact, we are here with दो गुना लगान this week. We have lots of things to discuss. Abhinandan is away, so I'm going to be hosting your show this week, and we have had a very action-packed week, and we have some fabulous guests to unpack that. We have Shardul in the house.
Hello.
Raman Kirpal in the house.
Hi.
And Nikhil Pava, who's joining us from Delhi Civil Lines, as we were discussing before we started rolling, that he has an amazing time there because he has a very big family. And so it's hard to leave Delhi even if it's very polluted.
Hard to leave civil lines for me.
Hard to leave civil lines. Let me just make a couple of announcements. We have a year-end campaign, which is that 25 years of this century are almost
Yes.
over. So we want you to make it count. We need you to support independent news. We need you to support News Laundry, because without your support, we cannot go on. We don't take any ads from corporations or governments. So you guys need to step up. This is not a slogan for us. This is actually our life. We cannot live literally without you guys supporting us. News Laundry will not survive without your support. So before the year ends, do something good, do something fruitful. अच्छे कर्म कमाओ और कुछ अच्छा काम करो और subscribe to News Laundry. Why do you think the government did this in the first place, to introduce this hastily, then put up a very weak defense that, oh no, this is not mandatory, even though the rules did note, and then just take it back? What was the sense in this?
So look, as we know, there is a substantial amount of fraud in this country. Manisha, we get, I mean, I recently got a message saying, I have a challan on my car. They had my details and they said, download this app and in order to pay the challan. And that app was an APK file, which means you can install it on your Android phone. But then most likely it would have taken over my phone, right? So there are the scale at which and the sophistication with which these frauds are running is just unprecedented. So I understand that the government finally wants to do something about it. Matlab, we've been seeing it now for what, 8, 9 years, 10 years almost. And I remember once Arun Jaitley saying in Parliament that only some 70, 80 crores of money was lost. Now that numbers crossed, I think, 30,000 crores of fraud in a year. So now that those numbers are out, the government is in panic mode.
Every day you hear of digital arrest, or I keep getting these exactly like your HDFC account will be disabled in the next 1 hour if you don't do XYZ,
Now,
those kind of things.
that's an interesting one. So go back to 2016, to 2015. All of us in December got messages in 2015 saying your bank account will be shut down if you don't authenticate, or if you don't link your Aadhaar to your bank account. Here's the link. Your mobile number will be shut down. And what happened there? Scams were already happening using this mechanism at that point in time because an environment of fear was created. So there is this propensity for us to think that the state will punish us if we don't do this. And a lot of people, they will just comply. Like even today, the Aadhaar PAN linkage for filing taxes, as far as I remember until a couple of years ago, it's still the deadline for mandating that kept getting shifted. A friend of mine, Kiran Jonalagadda, just got a court order saying that there is no, that it's not mandatory, that you don't, the income tax department can't force it. So this voluntary but mandatory, this fear mongering, this threatening from the government has been around for a decade now. And this is just another threat. So one, I think people are kind of fed up of this. कभी कोई diktat आता है, कभी demonetization आता है.
So it is happening at
multiple levels.
Multiple levels. Supreme Court has, I think, recently has asked CBI that you come up with, I mean, how you can stop this digital arrest. Now the CBI is also going to come up with, So I think it needs to be fought at multiple level. I mean, just by merely introducing Sanchar Sathi app where you can just report is not going to, help a lot. And that too, if it is not, voluntarily downloaded, but if you force it on us, everybody will doubt it.
I mean, the thought, like how Nikhil put it, is actually very scary. The government in your phone, your gallery, your messages, everything
Absolutely.
will be out there for them to kind of look in. It's a very scary thought.
And we download so many apps. I mean, inadvertently, maybe they are also sitting in our house.
My other contention is that a lot of these frauds, I mean, I would argue that it is possible that these are actually run in cahoots with local administration, local cops, because Noo and Jamtara mein to like 500 लोगों के call centers चलते हैं.
Yeah.
उनको इतने SIM cards मिलते हैं वहाँ. I remember the story in HT where they said कि उनके annual appraisals होते हैं, award ceremonies होती हैं fraudsters के लिए कि best performing, and उनको cash prizes मिलते हैं. इस scale पे आप कैसे operate कर सकते हो without the local cop knowing, without the local politician knowing? एंड इतने सिम कार्ड, लाइक किसी ने बोलते बोरियों में सिम कार्ड्स लिए जाते हैं.
There was an op-ed in the Times of India by the British High Commissioner, the French
Yeah.
ambassador, and the German ambassador calling out Putin. Is that unusual that during a state visit where Putin is supposed to be visiting, you have an op-ed by ambassadors denouncing the visitor, the guest?
It is highly unusual. Look, the positions that they articulated in that op-ed might well be the positions of their national governments when it comes to Russia. No question about that. They've made that position very clear to the Indian foreign policy establishment in different forums around the world. But typically in your host country, the assumption is that the ambassadors will by and large comment on issues of bilateral interest or not be hostile in their tone. So this was definitely a deviation from that. I know that the former Foreign Secretary Kanwal Sibal made a huge song and dance about the fact that they had violated all norms of diplomacy on social media, and there was some démarche issued to these ambassadors to come. But I think for me, the bigger question is, how poor shape is Indian foreign policy today that 3 ambassadors sitting under your nose in New Delhi feel that they can write this in a major Indian daily without any worry about consequences? I mean, that to me is the bigger question.
Politically, like Raman sir was also saying, Modi also needs a win. So in that sense, it's a good win.
Russia will give him that. Yeah.
So these 3 days can be... Because it's edgy with the US, Pakistan is what it is, China is what it is. With Russia, there's a steady expectation that it is at least a win for India. It's a steady ally, and we can project it as a win.
And to be fair, even in the last decade, and I'm looking at Trump's first presidency as well, when the in fact S-400 deal was being negotiated and going through, Prime Minister Modi pushed very clearly for that waiver from the United States to make sure that we could go ahead and make these purchases. So the messaging from Delhi to Washington, as far as the Russians, and at that time it was also vis-a-vis the Iranians, that was concerned, was that, look, these are our long-time regional partners. We can't just walk away from them because 7,000 miles away across the oceans, the Americans want us to be isolated in this neighborhood. We can't afford that. The Indians can't afford that. So interesting that, that this is not a relationship that even the Modi government is willing to walk away from, no matter how much they may want.
And I just want to add one South Asian angle to it, that this is happening at a time we have a lot of headache when it comes to security in South Asia.
Yeah.
For the first time in 50 years, you had a Pakistani naval ship arrive in Bangladesh as a goodwill gesture. This is not a good sign for us. This is not, I mean, these are scary times for us within the context of South Asian security.
बस मुफ्त में इतना ही मिलेगा. For the full uncut podcast, subscribe to News Laundry and pay to keep news free. The best way to listen to The Hafta and indeed all our podcasts is through the News Laundry app. You can download the app by clicking on the links given in the show notes. So do download our app and get the best podcast experience. And also pay for news and support a new news media ecosystem that News Laundry is trying to encourage, where we are accountable to you because we run on contributions that you make. We don't take government ads, we don't take corporations ads, so that news serves the public, because when the public pays, the public is served. Subscribe to News Laundry, click on the link in the show notes below and proudly say, I pay to keep news free.